Hello, welcome back to the Mr. Arsenal podcast. And for your second segment, sorry, no noise. It's the second segment of our mine and Andrew's collaboration / Q&A stream that we're doing each week, every Sunday. This week, as you can tell, I'm the one hosting. I've taken charge this week. And yeah, yay. Oh, this, guys, as I say, before we get into it, obviously, this is a show where you're going to be able to be interactive as you want. We need you to make the show, literally, to get your questions in. They don't have to be, as Andrew and we've been saying, the questions don't have to be about Arsenal or football. It could be about absolutely anything within reason. Obviously, this is a family show still. No, and just get them in the chat. Do share the stream as well if you can, or on all platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or wherever. Just share the life out of it. Sorry. And yeah, obviously, yeah. Andrew's joining me. How you doing, Andrew? How's your week been?
Yeah, not too shabby, mate. Not too shabby. Not a huge amount to discuss, really. It's been fairly quiet, but all good.
It was so quiet yesterday. There's something about a number. I don't know what, but people in the chat might be able to update us on that one later.
God's sake. Don't get me started.
We actually had questions about that, actually, as well. And not in terms of a negative sense, but as in, but the first question we'll get onto, actually, is the one we coded over from last week from Endo, was our all-time Arsenal 11, as in we can only pick players that weren't in the title-winning team of 2004. So from 2004 onwards, players, but we can't pick anyone that was in that 03-04 season.
Bloody
we
hell.
do it as a collective as well, so it saves a bit more time, but yeah.
Yeah. Goalkeeper... God, it's a tough one, isn't it? Got to think really recent for the goalkeeper. I mean, it's early days for Ramsdale because obviously he's only had the one season. So probably, I mean, it sounds mental, but probably have to go Leno. Who else has there been since then?
Well, since then, we've had obviously we've had Almunia, we've
exactly.
had Fabianski, Szczesny, Ospina.
Oh yeah, Szczesny, I suppose. Yeah, I forgot about him.
Ospina, and then we had Petr Cech for 2 years of his retirement.
Yeah, we didn't get the best of him.
And then we've had Bert for the last couple of years.
I'll probably go Szczesny because, well, he's obviously a very, very good goalkeeper, but he's obviously a true gooner as well. Right back, probably Bakary Sagna.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Yeah, again, Tommy Asu's early days still.
Yeah,
he never worked out. Benjamin was never a right back. He's more of a winger than a right back. So yeah, I agree with
left back.
This is going to be a tough one, actually.
Left back. Well, do you know what? I know it sounds really weird, but on top form, forgetting all the injury issues and everything, on top form, I'd say Tierney.
Yeah, he's the only one comes close, really, because all the others are fucking dog shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Andre Santos, for example.
Centre backs. I mean, I'm loving the current partnership. I really am. But you can't really discount Mertesacker and Koscielny as well.
Marlon.
So from Ireland, I loved Marlon when he was in his pomp as well.
Yeah,
really liked him.
Yeah, until got the armband after Van Persie. Up to that point, he was arguably one of our best centre backs, consistent wise. He was always injury free, never an issue. Got the armband as a curse, got him fucking injured.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tough one. I say
Mertesacker because obviously, depending on what formation you pick, because obviously, even though he ain't the fastest defender, out of a partnership, he could stay back and read the game, and he showed that in one of his near last games was against Chelsea in the cup final. We played that 5 at the back. He stayed in the middle and allowed Rob Holding and who else was that? I can't remember who else it was now because Early was suspended. But basically, he stayed in the middle. But
Nacho sort of joined in.
It might be Nacho's about yeah. But basically, he stayed in that middle of the three partnership there and literally just read the game. He showed how good he can read the game in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I say for him, for that side of things, for his football intelligence and that he could. He did lead by example as well. Remember the Mesut Ozil going out to Mesut Ozil after the Man City 6-3 thumping away from home, and literally bollocking on the pitch like get your ass over to the away fans
Yeah.
and actually applaud, thank them for making the effort. God's sake.
Exactly. So, I mean, to be fair, because of the longevity and the sort of what he gave to the club, I'd probably go for Koscielny alongside him. But ask me in a couple of years, then it could be a very different story. We could be talking about Ben White and Gabriel as probably our best partnership. But yeah, still a bit early days. So midfield, I would go Cesc. He wasn't in that team really at that
Oh, he
point, was
wasn't.
he?
No, he came in the year later, didn't he, for the 04-05 season?
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, a bit early in that.
And I have to say, again, similar thing with Kieran Tierney on top form and injury free. Partey's probably been the best we've had since.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
So I'll go for them two in the middle. What are we doing? A 4-4-2 or 4-3-3?
I don't mind. Let's do traditional 4-4-2. Go on. Well, depends on who you want to. Yeah, depends on who you want to pick. Up to you.
Let's do. I think it'd be easier with a 4-3-3 because you've got players like Rosicki, Chleb, and players like that. So, Jack.
Yeah, Jack. Ramsey as well.
Yeah. So probably in front of we've got Partey, Cesc, and I know it's not going to be. And I know this is like probably maybe a weak midfield and everything, but again, you've got to talk about players that are in their pomp that you love watching that when they're at their best, right? So I'd probably go for Jack at his best. You know, like the way he bossed Barcelona that day. He's something else, wasn't he? Now, it's purely down to personal choice. It's not saying these are definitively the best. The question was, what are your favourites? What would be yours? So that'd probably be mine. And and we haven't got time to sit here and go literally remember every single player, and you might be missing players out. But hey, anyway, that's the way I go. Then after that, up front, I go for Van Persie, definitely. Alexis, yes, 100%. And one more. Probably three. I was just about to say, took the words out of my mouth. Theo on the right. Yeah.
Scored 100 goals for clubs. It's our 15th, joint 15th highest goal score of our club's history as well.
Well, that's an interesting one, actually. That's something I was
turned up for the big games as well.
That's something I've been thinking about. I think it was yesterday. I heard one of these stupid comments about Eddie online.
I think it's that number they wear. I don't know what, but yeah.
Yes. Well, someone was talking about this Eddie situation and saying, I won't go to it. But if you consider Theo, I think everyone had their issues with Theo, but I think everyone could consider Theo was a very big success at Arsenal with the amount of goals he scored, right? About 100 goals for Arsenal. Maybe obviously a few more. But when you consider Eddie's age and, the amount of sort of minutes he's played so far, he's got about a quarter. He's getting on for a quarter of the amount of goals that Theo scored already for Arsenal. I think he's got 27 goals for Arsenal.
Yeah.
So he's not doing badly considering he's only, 22, 23 years old. So give the kid, all I'm saying is give the kid a chance. So anyway, that's a completely different story. But yeah, I think that's a good 1 to 11 post the Invincibles.
Yeah, can't argue with that. You get goals in it as well. Good, solid defence.
I mean, I know the midfield, mate. But when you consider the midfield we play now, it's when
Yeah, that's
you've
true.
got Partey at the base, and then you've got the two attackers either side, sort of on the front, left and right eight
Side of them,
positions. I think both of those could do that. Seskin and Wilshire very, very well indeed.
yeah, definitely. I talked. There's a comment on one of the questions we got last night from Steve F, who could be watching this back in a bit. Do you? His first one was: do you think with the signings of Fabio Vieira, not Patrick, Jesus, Martinez, is enough for us to compete for top four? What more do we need?
We need. I mean, there'd be a massive help, and it's not going to make us weaker. But I think we still need more than that. I think we still need 5 players coming in, and I don't count.
The re-signing, so to say.
I don't count Marquinhos in that or
No.
the goalkeeper. I'm talking about outfield players,
Yeah.
but they are a massive step in the right direction for what we need. So I would still say we'd need Tielemans on top of that as one, maybe one more. And that one more could be another wide player, ideally, or another forward, another centre forward. That's what I think. And then you've got the Marquinhoses and maybe one or two other younger players or whatever that bring in to add further depth.
And sort of in terms of it's Marquinhos and as they say the youngsters, we've mentioned this throughout the house pretty much near the end of the season. If we were to fall into fifth, what we did, the Europa League is perfect group stage wise to just Thursday night throw out our B team, and that includes some of the kids like Charlie Patino, Hutchinson, Aziz, this new guy we've just got in Marquinhos, obviously Turner being goal. It gives them a chance to sort of bed in that there's no pressure of them having to do what we've done with Guendouzi and just run into the team straight away. They can sort of ease themselves in, get used to the culture, used to the way that we want them to play, the intensity, and hopefully for the following season they'll be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the case. Personally, I still think we're going to get. I mean, I know there's a bit of debate yesterday online about Tielemans, but I'm still very confident we're going to get him. Personally,
well, Fabrizio's basically saying it's not done it, as in it's still unlike what other people are saying. We are still interested. Sky talking a lot of crap basically in terms of us calling our interest. It's literally just sorting things out between us and Leicester in terms of a fee and all that, obviously. And then the instalments of how it's going to be, the fee will be paid and this, that, and the other. So hold your hats down on that and see what happens there. But again, it's only the start of the window. This is what I don't. Again, the Vieira thing, like I think you said, and a few others said, it took us by surprise. No one reported on it. No one. And it's good to see that side of things, that we are able to keep them sort of things in house till like literally it's done. Other ones like Tielemans and all that, and Jesus we've known for a while, but obviously because of the profile and where they're coming from, etc., and going to, it's hard to sort of keep it in the hat, basically.
Yeah.
So here's what they say. Has to say. It's the start of the bloody window. Relax. Everyone's having a meltdown, thinking it's bloody near deadline day. We've got nothing done and things like that.
Just shows you that people are screaming and shouting, saying, "Well, Arsenal are not doing anything in the market," but they obviously are. It just shut everyone up. I love that sort of thing, and I love these kind of signings. And then I think they're so much more exciting than these long sagas of Tielemans and Jesus and all that. I just find these ones more exciting in those ways because it's like opening a present on Christmas Christmas Day that you weren't expecting and realising it's the best thing since sliced cheese. And I use cheese because I find that much more interesting than bread. But a couple of questions I've got here from Melvin as well. Is a defensive midfield destroyer ever going to wear an Arsenal shirt this century? I think Partey's the closest we've got so far, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the nearest we've had to Vieira since Vieira obviously left us in that ilk. Yeah. But time will tell Partey. But yeah, other than that, let's be honest, not exactly been blessed with the enforcers in midfield, have we?
I don't think there's many teams that have got those types of players anymore. Really, if you think about it, it's quite hard to think of one off the top of your head straight away. You have to really put your thinking cap on to think of any
Yeah,
around. I mean, you wouldn't call players like Basuma a midfield destroyer under any circumstances, really. Rodri isn't that. He's a very good defensive midfielder, but he's not like what you call a destroyer. Indeed, definitely not.
no,
Very lightweight. I mean, when you think of those types of players, then someone young and up and coming that I think a lot of, like Sambi, could
Hmm.
quite easily become as good as those types of players, like a Basuma, like an Ndidi. That type of, I think he's got more than enough talent to do that eventually. But there's not many teams with a Patrick Vieira type around. Can you think of one? I'm really struggling.
I think now. I think
There aren't any,
they're
are there?
completely different. Okay, again, your choice is a completely different sort of midfielder, the box to box, wasn't it? So I can't really say yeah,
Mm.
absolutely either. So no, that was
Liverpool haven't got one. I mean, they've got that Fabinho, but he's
a
very
big
sort of
one.
very waif-like, and he's not like a midfield destroyer. He just mops things up, tidies things up around the back. Brilliant player, but he's not like a midfield destroyer.
No,
Yeah, very hard to think of one. I mean, you've got Calvin Phillips again. He's a good silky player on the ball, nips in, nicks the ball, but not like again, that's not like the question, like a midfield destroyer. He can't be described as that. So
no.
yeah, I can't think of many at all. So
Even, even,
the
even
game sort of moved on, hasn't it?
yeah, even for Nadinho was he sort of branded that, but even and again he wasn't like because of his height and all his size, he wasn't again a midfield destroyer. He was just there to sort of do the hard graft basically in terms of just marshal the defence and basically keep
Well,
everyone
yeah,
in tow.
he's again, he's another one that reads the game brilliantly. Great player, reads the game brilliantly, and just he's always there to nick the ball off you. Off you. He's not like
Hmm.
he's not one of these tough hard men, which a midfield destroyer that brings to mind that type of hard man type of player that you will mess with, like a Keane or a Vieira. But the game seems to have evolved away from that type of player to these sort of clever, technically gifted, who can read the game type of players, like I've been mentioning, who can nip in there and snuff out players. Yeah, I don't see the game moving that way over the last few years, and I can't see it changing anytime soon. But football goes in cycles, and you've seen Manchester City, although they've wanted a striker for the last couple of seasons. They wanted Kane last season. They were interested in Ronaldo last season, but didn't get them. Liverpool have never had a what you call a target man. I mean, maybe Firmino was the closest they got, but he was much more of a deep line player, like a false nine type of player. But they have both gone out and bought big tools centre forwards now.
Hmm.
So is the game going to slightly? Are they going to change their game plan a little bit this coming season to play them better? You know, to work to their strengths. So the game does evolve. Maybe it's going to evolve back to that type of midfield destroyer partnership, like a Petit and Vieira eventually. But at the moment, it's not really that way. It's not working that way. So yeah, it'd be interested to see whether it comes back into fashion at some point, like it always will. You know, things always do.
Hmm. Got another question from Steve as well. Was doesn't last year's recruitment and then this year's plans clearly show how far off our squad was before obviously last summer, like the window opened last summer?
Oh Christ, yeah. I mean, the the spring cleaning that has had to be done behind the scenes by Mikel Arteta and the new sort of setup we've got is, I think that was vastly underrated and
Hmm.
understated. And the amount of work that's had to be done, and that's why I take my hat off to people. We've had so much criticism about ripping people's contracts up and letting them go for free and all that sort of stuff, but it was needed, and we've had so much crap that's been taking a massive wage out of our club with not getting anything back from these players, and that it did show the state of the squad and the disharmony in the squad, and that's why it's so much more encouraging. I know that it was massively disappointing at the end of last season the way we just sort of missed out by a couple of points, but I think it was a testament really to how well he did whilst doing all of the other background stuff at the same time. When considering how much experience he's got in the job, he's had to do so much mucking out behind the scenes that we don't get to see. Whilst at the same time trying to build a team and a new style of football and a new harmony amongst the squad, and the entire club, and bringing the club closer to the fan base. So that side of things, this is what I said a few weeks ago, that the biggest success so far of this project has been the way that he has brought sort of the harmony to the squad and brought the club closer to the fans. The off-field stuff, I think, has been much more of a success than what he's done on the field, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So the way he's changed the squad so it's unrecognisable from the squad that Unai Emery inherited. There's hardly any players left now, very few. So yeah, the way that the whole average age of the side has come right down, and he's finally bringing in players that are obvious qualities that he's been looking for in the way that he wants to play in this new sort of 4-3-3 system that he's been gravitating towards over the last season, and it's really promising. So yeah, it completely did, in my opinion, show how terrible the squad was that he inherited.
Yeah, oh, God, pretty much covered what I was going to agree with, basically. I would add to that as well. It's again, myself, you, others on this channel and other podcasts and channels and etc. as well, all over the years have come out and slated the Cronkies, even when they're the majority owners and all that. But we've slated them, rightly so, especially the most recent with the older Super League malarkey drama crap that didn't need to happen. But it does seem that they're finally getting their head out their backsides and actually putting their money where their mouth is and actually showing some form of giving a damn, basically. They're not just here to sort of mug us all off, even though the kit season is a bit annoying, but it is what it is on that side of things. But they are, as I say, they're looking into refurbing the state, like the actual stadium as well, in terms of make that more presentable, basically, because it obviously has faded. It does look a bit worn down over the last few years. Even though there's a slight delay now, it's going to be finished in October, apparently, for fuck's sake. They're doing things like that. They're backing the manager. That's the most important thing. They actually are. And that was a major criticism they had from our perspective under Unai Emery, was in the 2 summers he was here, it was never the players he wanted. When he first came, he wanted Nzonzi, we got Torreira. He didn't want Socrates. Socrates was already here when he officially came onto the books. He wanted Thomas Partey. He wanted Thomas Partey, and we got something. I can't remember we got that in that time. It might have been, I can't remember who it was now, but didn't get Thomas Partey. We got a year later. What is Zaha? We got Pepe. Whereas it seems this time they've learned from that. They've took on the criticism of that, and they are actually, it's as I say, Arteta as a rookie and Edu. They do seem to be trying to build not just back him in terms of what players he wants, but they want to sort of build a modern day version of what we had with David Dean and Arsene Wenger. I know there's different contrasts because obviously both David Dean was experienced in his role and Wenger was an experienced manager, but it does seem like they're trying to get that duoship working together to build a proper team. And I think, as you say, about the positive, the vibes are in the fan base, the majority of the fan base anyway. There's a few idiots still out there, but that is what it is. But the bringing the fans back and making the fans feel as one with the club as more than ever in the last decade, basic plus, has been huge. And I mean, yesterday, everything that went off yesterday with the numbered situation. The camaraderie in that squad at the moment spoke volumes yesterday because players were coming out in defence and deliberately going for the toxic idiots out there that was giving Eddie a hard time or giving the club a hard time. Even Ian White, I know Ian White has a soft spot for Eddie, he always has done, but even he had to come out yesterday. And even that, and then again, letting
Good on him.
good on him. And also and that's another thing, bringing some of these ex-players, not just Ian White, but the likes of Dennis Burkham and Henri were here a few months ago. Obviously, Burkham was visiting because his daughter had given birth, but he was invited and considering a year ago them two are part of a consortium to take over the club and all that. They're listening, they're taking on the criticism and saying, you know what, you are right, but we want to bring you guys back in. Well, we want even if it's the odd visit here and there, or they had seen when the odd visit into the training going to work with the goalkeepers on a day, like once a month or whatever, whenever you're free. It's things like that are bringing the fans back in and going, you know what, you're starting to realise what the club's about, who are actual true legends of the club, who are the players that actually play for the club but do still care about the club even after years of not playing for the club, etc. And it's, again, for most of us, we're on board with this situation because of what's been going on. And it's, I said, the key thing is, my big question was for this summer, as you know, but most of your viewers will know, listeners will know when they listen to this back. My big question was for this summer was, are they going to prove me wrong or prove me right? Because my thing was last year was only a one-off thing just to shut us all up because of it was in the immediate aftermath of the Super League. And it's quite cynical of me to think that, but at the same time, you could understand why I'm thinking it, because all of a sudden they'd never spent that sort of money or backed a manager like that before. They never backed a Wenger like that, except basically. And I was like, oh, the only thing that's changed since in all this time is you try to put us in the dark light, basically, as a club. Maybe trying to shut us up because obviously there's still the Daniel Ek thing. So the cynical side of me was thinking that was just a one-off, but to see what's happened in the last few days and see how on it we are, we're not holding up. It seems like we're not holding out to the deadline day. We want to get our business done ASAP. We know the situation of what it is with the World Cup and all that. We want to get our business players in, get them in as quick as possible before pre-season, so they've got enough time to adapt to the team. Because again, for me, I keep getting on now. That's another criticism from my side of things, that we've never got our main players into it till the knock-ins, the last knock-ins of the window, and then we're not ready for the season, which contributes to a bad start, etc., etc. So it seems to take things like that on as well. So again, it's all positive at the moment. And then, as I say, if they keep going down this route or continuously get him what he wants, and we continue to see the camaraderie within the squad going into next season, and put them again with Arteta and the players a step forward from last season. They've learned from the ones that are here, obviously, are still going into next season. They've learned from their mistakes and kick on, and we see improvement there. What can people complain about? Yeah, we're not going for a title yet, but you're never going to go, even spending 150 million in one window, no one's got a divine right, unless you're Man City or Liverpool, to spend that sort of money and go, right, we should be winning a title. Because we're not ready. Our squad was never ready for that. And the question basically referring back to was, does it show how bad the squad was before this time last year for the window open? And yeah, it was. It does actually show that, because we've pointed out at the start of the season, last season was, we made 6 signings last year, 5 of them were starters straight from the off.
Yeah.
And 4 of them were the back line.
Well, quite regularly, all 6 were playing at one point.
Yeah. At one point when Tini was out injured, and Tavares came in to deputise for him. At the start, did do a really good job at the start, and then something just happened, and it never sort of came back from it until the last knock-ins. We sort of saw glimpses in certain games, but even then. But my point is, literally, because we were criticising the year before about switching players, this and the other, he literally brought a whole back line in, pretty much, bar Gabriel, and obviously when Tierney was out injured, by Tierney, so literally a whole new back line, and they straight away you wouldn't even notice they just joined or just came together as a partnership, etc.
Exactly.
Unless,
Yeah.
unless you literally be keeping, unless you obviously have social media and all that. If it weren't social media, you wouldn't know it. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. If you just switched off at the summer and didn't realise you wouldn't realise if they just arrived, and that was another positive that these players we got, even the ones that are coming from abroad, like Tomiyasu and Tavares, and obviously Odegaard, even though Odegaard had 6 months prior, but even then, it's good to see how they quickly they adapted to the culture and the league and the physicality and the pace of it all, and they
Mm.
just got on with their job. And I mean, Tomiyasu was that was a massive coup and breath of fresh air because of what became Tomiyasu in that season, because of what we
Exactly.
had prior. The Dross we had prior to that situation was, well, Tomiyasu proved absolutely appalling because he came in and showed us that it's the standard of what sort of right back
Mm.
is. For someone who's not a right back, by the way, fantastic right back.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm going on now, so people are probably getting bored of me going on. But yeah, like Andrew says in the chat, do give us some non-football related questions as well, guys. Trying to think now. Here we go. Go for the chat.
Riddy says, what other sports do you follow apart from football? For me, I don't. There's not many. I mean, I love watching. I mean, I know it's not very regular, but the Olympics, I watch pretty much all of that whenever it comes around, and other sort of big, sort of athletic events. I love that. I think it's quite exciting. I used to be a massive snooker fan. I still love snooker, but I don't watch it as much as I used to. I'm not really up to date with all the modern day players. But I'm not a massive watcher of any other sports, really. What about you?
In terms
I know
of
you watch rugby, don't you?
yeah, I watched some rugby. I'm a regular rugby fan of my team. The team I supported an Irish team in Ireland called Munster, big European powerhouse. They've been for years. Obviously, I watch obviously all their games as I can. Six Nations, the World Cups when they come around, things like that.
Yeah, I watch the older. Do watch the older sort of Six Nations game,
Yeah,
but I'm not a mass. I do really enjoy it, but I've never really massively got into rugby, which is strange, really, because I do enjoy it when I watch it.
and again with the rugby, because I do every now and then we talk about VAR and all that. Well, as you know, and the guys will know, I always refer back to rugby union, obviously rugby, but I don't watch rugby union, and how their video refereeing system has been implemented from day one, and how we should be taking the template of that into this and having just again we've discussed it before, training people to a certain standard. Get rid of this Josh we've got at the moment, all have a complete clear out, and build from the roots up, like we spoke before about refereeing and all that. Give them right investment in the entirety, all the way through to top, so they feel like there's something to look to sort of aspire to, basically, and
Mm.
basically hire the best of the best, basically. But in terms of the actual system, I've always said, look, this is where we need. This is the template. They've never 9 times out of 10, it's always spot on. Once in a blue moon is a mistake, like everyone's human, because it's still a human referee helping out the ref, and it's always like we've seen in this season. Like we've seen this season, it does seem with VAR in Premier League, especially that it's the person that's watching back in God knows where behind the screen making the final decision instead of the
Mm.
referee. Whereas in rugby, it's always the referee always says, "Oh, this is what I've seen. Is there any reason why I shouldn't give it, or
So
should I stand there? Or this is ever?" And
have you managed to
it's always left with the referee on the field. He makes that
have you
final choice.
have you managed to turn this question into a discussion about
I
VAR?
don't know.
I was
I'm
just
just
going to
pointing out
say.
another reason why I watch rugby, because it
I
is
know,
so
yeah,
clear cut, and the rules are clear cut, and there's no if buts and maybes.
yeah,
In
no.
terms of other stuff, like what you're saying about the Olympics, yeah, I watch the Olympics when it's around, or the Commonwealth every couple
Yeah,
of years when it comes on.
Riddy's
Apart from
obviously
that, Wimbledon.
mentioned cricket, tennis, and a bit of darts. And funnily enough, Riddy, I mean, I watch Wimbledon every year. I do really, really enjoy that. I get to watch as much of that as I can. And yeah, you mentioned the darts. I do like to watch the darts as well, funnily enough. So yeah, I forgot about those. So yeah, I do enjoy those as well. But cricket,
Not a fan from
I
the
dip
lot.
in and out, but I'm not a massive fan of it. When there's a big game on, I'll watch. I don't want to sit and watch it all the time, but I do watch the highlights of cricket matches and stuff occasionally. I used to play cricket when I was younger for my school, but yeah, never really got the bug, to be honest with you. But I do like watching tennis, especially Wimbledon, and like
Yeah,
I say,
Wimbledon and
bit
Queens.
of
It's
darts.
Queens this week, isn't it? So what a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
I've got into the sort of system over the last 10 or so years of watching Queens, like the build-up tournament towards
mm,
Wimbledon, and then watching Wimbledon, obviously. And but yeah, apart from that, I don't really watch tennis as a whole. Because it's a point
yeah.
of silence. It's obviously a UK thing. Okay, I watch it. But apart from that, again, BX Gunners popped in saying the Canadian GP about to start. So that's the Grand Prix. Obviously, bloody
Yeah.
Hamilton and all that. Again, some people like it. I'm not. That doesn't do
No,
anything
never
for me.
really done
Just
it for me. Yeah,
imagine like, sitting at home and watching a bunch of people getting a customized car to their standard, their suiting basically, going around in circles 70 odd times over a few hours.
yeah.
Like,
Don't do it for me either.
no,
And unless you have a big crash, and unless it's like
and even then,
generalising a bit, but I mean, I'd say I don't know, maybe eight. It seems to me anyway, and I don't know the facts and figures, but it seems to me about 80 to 90% of races are won by the driver that gets around the first corner first.
mm,
And so, barring
who's
any
usually the car?
yeah, exactly, barring a major accident or anything or any mechanical failure, they'll go on to win the Grand Prix. So,
Mm,
because it's been dominated by so many riders over the years, it's just been too easy
predictable.
to predict. Yeah, it's strange. But no, it's another one that I've never really got into, if I'm honest.
Oh
Uh,
dear.
right, there's one more I saw from um, Melvin, and
Yeah.
that was I can't find it, but he said basically, with Eddie now signing a new contract and getting the number 14, does that mean he's going to be captain next season? I know he's like saying it tongue in cheek, but
Yeah.
it's a way for me to just say
Segue
one
on to that.
thing. I'll
Yeah.
keep it as very, very short and brief as possible, but just the fact that people are going on and on about this, and the fact that our own so-called fans are going online to bash Eddie about getting a certain shirt number and slag him off. And I put it in a tweet, and if you've seen it, I said the biggest day in Eddie's life. He'd been an
Mm.
Arsenal boy through and through since he's 14 or something like that.
Been in the family since he's 14. Yeah.
Biggest day of his life, and getting his new contract, and people choose that point just to go online and start giving him a load of abuse because he's been given a certain shirt number, and it just drives me mad. And it's a bloody number. It's a shirt number that's
I know.
vacant. I mean, just because one of our greatest players of all time wore that shirt doesn't mean that no one else can wear that shirt. I put on Twitter a whole list of people that have worn number 14 before.
Mm.
And just because it's after Thierry Henry, then it went, and then obviously Walcott had it, and Aubameyang had it. It doesn't mean that no one else can have it. I mean, all this stuff about retiring shirt numbers is just utter rubbish to me. I mean, Wenger
Yeah.
gave number 10 to Gallas for crying out
Straight
loud.
away. That again, back then that annoyed me because it was literally Bergkamp hadn't even left a shower of his testimonial, and Gallus got given number 10 shirt.
Exactly. Just give the guy a break. You know, what's to say that he's not going to just suddenly ignite and get even better next season and go on and be a really good player for us? Just give the guy a chance. Everyone that ever watches anything I've done, they all know that I've always liked Eddie. And at one stage, I didn't think he was going to be staying with us. I thought he was going to have a good career somewhere else. You know, I've said that 100 times, haven't I?
Yeah.
I'm really, really glad for the guy that he's been given this opportunity. And if it doesn't work out after a season or two, we've got a 5-year contract so we can sell him for some good money. these players, these so-called fans that are going online and bashing him for getting number 14 would be the same fans that would have been ranting at the club for letting a good young top English talent go for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
He's got a 5-year contract now, so it doesn't mean that he's going to stay 5 years and we're stuck with him, blah, blah, blah. A, he could become a really big success. And B, if he doesn't, we're going to get some good money for him. So we cannot lose by doing what we've done. So just get off the kid's back, let him play his football, and see whether he will go on and surprise even more fans. Because I'm pretty certain he's going to score goals for us at any given opportunity, given the chance. And when we've got 5 subs next season, he's going to get a lot of minutes and going to get a lot of chances. So I don't even call them fans; they're just online trolls. They cannot be Arsenal fans if you go ahead and do stuff like that and abuse your own players on their moment of glory. It just drives me mental. And then I will. And someone said in the chat, Rudy said you'll instantly block. I will do exactly the same on Twitter. I do not want these people in my life. seeing those sorts of tweets on a daily basis, they can just go and do one, as far as I'm concerned.
No,
anyway, I've just said
it wasn't. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, before I move on that, even in terms of tweeting at myself, someone I follow again, this person wasn't being negative. She was actually trying to be positive. She was having a go at the people who were being negative. So she said, honestly, I'm not 100% sure on Eddie, but I'm not going to be one of those negative see you next Tuesdays. Put between the lines. I want him to do well. And I just put in a response to that, as a backup to that, is I think Arsenal are just being smart for once. Instead of letting him go for free, like we were just discussing, to be the same people fucking complaining about him going for free, we've tied him into a long-term deal. If it doesn't work out in the next 12 months, for example, there's an absolute stinker this shocker of the season, yeah? He's got 4 years left in his contract. We can demand a high fee for him. So for once, the Arsenal are actually doing right by not just the player, but themselves as well.
Exactly. Anyway, we don't need to go down that road anymore. We've said our piece, and that's that. I'm just good luck to him. Congratulations to your new contract, Eddie, because I know you'll be watching, and go and prove everyone wrong.
Green is saying we still have one striker that's only strictly third choice. Again, well, reverse again. No matter what we think of where it should be, the first, second, or third, whatever. We've got Gabriel Jesus any time now going to be announced at any time between now and the end of the next week, apparently, what we're hearing. He's just got to do his medical or whatever, I don't know. I'm trying to think now. And then we've also got this Fabio Vieira, that's a versatile player. It's played, obviously, his main role is like the creative midfield role, attacking midfield, whatever you want to call it. He's played out in the wing, down the right. Apparently, he's played a few times down the middle as well.
And played the false 9.
Yeah, and if anyone remembers, obviously old enough to remember, with Wenger, that's Freddie Lundberg came into us as a striker, got converted into a right wing. Henri, winger, converted into a striker. For example, Lauren was a central midfielder, got converted into a right back. So possibly, maybe Arteta's having the same mindset, or as he false 9, part of his own front three that can sort of just in-game switch between the three positions, basically.
We may even bring in another striker anyway, as well as Gabriel Jesus. But if Eddie is our number 2 striker next season, I'll be backing him. I think he will score a lot of goals. And do you know what? I really, really think he is a good player for Mikel Arteta's system as well. The way he plays.
Well,
so
I think something we brought up during the season, obviously that Chelsea game, was that first goal. Both goals, obviously, but mainly the first goal because he had to use a bit of pace to get to the ball and chase it and make that situation happen. If that had been Lacazette last season in that game in that same position, obviously he hasn't got the pace, whereas obviously Eddie does, and he used it, and he can use it. He just obviously with being 22, he's still a bit raw, as any 22-year-old in any position would be. He's still hitting his prime, and that's going to be another reason why we've put him down to a 5-year contract instead of a 4 or 3, because there's a possibility that he could kick on, possibly, like I say, can still demand a big and decent fee for him, a year or two down the line, whatever. But it's all in our hands, and people need to sort of calm down. And let's just say about the number before we go to moving on. It's a fucking number.
I
Fucking Martin
know.
Keown wore 14. Don't see everyone complaining about that.
No, Eddie McGoldrick had number 14. Jimmy Carter had number 14.
I think back for
David O'Leary had number 14.
yeah, David O'Leary. I mean, even back in the day when squad numbers weren't assigned to a player for the whole season, it's literally like, if you're starting 11, it's 1 to 11. I think was it Kevin Campbell had a number 14 at one point as a sub.
Yeah,
So,
he did. Alan Smith did.
Alan Smith, yeah, I think White did one as well.
I think it was David Hillier had number 14.
Yes,
It's just, it's ridiculous. Just get over it, people.
We've got a question here from Colonel says, "Hi guys, what do you think of golfers joining DAZN, or if you pronounce them, for money? DAZN. Do you think it could happen to cricket or rugby?"
Yeah, 100%. Players. I mean, all sports people have got short careers, haven't they? And they will want to make the most of that short career, make as much money as possible, and they will go where the money is. Simple as that. I don't know what else there is to say about that, to be honest with you, but I think it's a natural thing that's going to happen, and I think football will go down that route as well. They will leave Sky, and they will go to one of these streaming services, whether it's Amazon, whether it's DAZN, or any of the other ones. It will all go down that route, and it will all be pay-per-view. I've always been an advocate for that, to be perfectly honest. I would love to be able to buy an Arsenal season ticket online to watch the matches on a certain home and away, which would include. I'd love it to include like the under-23 games and things like that as well, all friendlies, so you can watch every single match. And I'm not interested in watching too much of the other teams. I'll do when there's stuff on, but I'm more interested in being able to watch every single Arsenal game. And sometimes you can't if it's not, and you have to go to one of these illegal streaming sites because they're not all televised. So scrap that, and be able to buy a season ticket for your own club on one of these, on a DAZN or an Amazon, and I'll be really happy with that, to be honest with you. And I think all the clubs would make more money by doing that, including all the lower league clubs, because even like the lower league clubs have got fans from all over the world.
Yeah, that's true. Because obviously Simon, again, it's been mentioned before by Simon John, but he's been brought up again this week. But he sort of said that he didn't say Netflix specifically to do it, but say a service like Netflix that says £9.99 a month, people will flock him. They would. I mean, even if it goes down the route where the Premier League, Sky and Premier League sort of dig their heels in and won't allow another broadcaster to come along and join the party or do offer that service, the Premier League clubs are getting to a point now where they can financially just go, okay, we'll go sort things out with the government in terms of changing that rule, that 3 o'clock rule thing, and we individually as clubs will show our home and away games for the men, the women, the under 23s, every single one, and we'll charge our fans a month, maybe a monthly fee or a yearly fee, depending on what the setup is. I'd say it's a monthly fee of, say, £10 a month or £15 a month. £10 for just the men, 15 for that entire package of men, women, and under 23, so you get to see your youth academy thriving as well. People, again, our fans will do that. They're given the option, they'll choose, obviously, one of the two, obviously, and the money they'll make from that.
It would dwarf what Sky pay, honestly, for each club, and I think each club would. I mean, the argument against it is that the less supported clubs will make less money, perhaps, than they do now. But it's just life, isn't it? Unfortunately, it really is. It's just the way things are. It could mean that the bigger clubs will just keep moving further and further away. But there's some. I mean, there will be some way around it. I mean, the way I described it before, and I won't go on too long because I know we're a bit short on time now. But you could choose, right? You could choose to buy a season ticket for your own club,
Yeah.
or if if it's a Premier League team, for example, or you could choose to buy a season ticket to watch all the Premier League. So you pay
Yeah.
more money for that. Same with League One, same with Championship, same with League Two, and everything like that. And there will be a way where you can sort of help spread the wealth again to other clubs within that league. But I honestly think it will go down that route at some point. I really do, and I think it just makes sense, to be honest with you.
Because just going back to the initial question about the golfers, I mean, because obviously it's been a massive talking point within goal on Sky Sports now, because obviously it's the money, because it's a Saudi backed situation. So obviously for the Newcastle situation as well, being broader, put out there more broader, and obviously I think it was Mickelson or one. I think the world number one, or initially world number one, who had lost their membership, was getting paid just to turn up, £125 million just for turning up. And then when they're doing their interviews just before the tournament started that week, Phil Mickelson said it was after 30 odd years of being in the game and all that, it's nice to sort of just have that freedom to have a bit of time, do my sport, but have that sort of financial flex where I can go and not worry about the next paycheck, because it's more, I can have more time with our families and all that. And we've seen this week, obviously, we talked about in the football, because of the England men's team. We saw over the 4 games, the players are absolutely shattered. And that was amazing. Again, we've spoken about it the other week, we're speaking about it now, is this is this literally, we found out it was like 4 games in 10 days. We were like, what the fuck? And then they've got literally like 2 weeks off, pre-season then starts, and then they've got to go ham at it from literally 1st of July all the way through to the around literally June next year, early June next year, because it's literally start the league and all 6 your European club as well. You're playing for European clubs, so be it Champions League, Europa League, or Conference. All your group games getting flung in as well, week after 1 week. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all literally 1 week after the other, plus the League Cup games, and then literally get a week off. Like, okay, we've got to brief. We've got to literally go meet with respective countries at the World Cup, fly over to the other side of the fucking world, depending on how far you get, then fly back just before Christmas. On Boxing Day, you're back at it again, and then go all the way through till the end of May. And then depending on how far you go, if you go to a cup final, FA Cup, or Champions League final, or Europa League, or your Conference League, you're deep into around mid-June. That is
Exactly.
and there's no thought process. I mean, there's no need. I'll be honest. For me, there's no need for the internationals to be played at any level. Men on the 23s, the women's just a warm up because they've got the European Championship. But the men and the under 23 international teams didn't have to do anything yet. They could have had this time off to recharge, spend some time with their friends and family for a couple of weeks, and come back fully refreshed and really ready to go. They've now got 2 weeks,
Exactly.
2 weeks to prepare for pre-season, ready to be back in pre-season.
I know. Well, for me, selfishly, I'm very, very happy about that, because it just means that football's going to start again soon, whether that's friendlies or whatever. But no, I know I'm being serious. It's just a joke, absolute joke. Those 4 games, yeah, we all know that. So yeah, let's get a few more questions in. We've got about
A few more
about
questions.
5 or 6 minutes left. Get some last questions in, and move down there. But I'll just ask you a quick one, and it's a really hot day, and you get to a pub. What's your first drink that you would go for? What's your first tipple of choice on a nice hot day, and go straight to the pub? What's the first drink you'd order at the bar?
If it's a day like we had on Friday here in the UK, when it's like 32 plus, it's something like a Magnus with a bit of ice, just because of
Same.
It's not heavy, it's light, it's crisp, and it just goes with the ice. It hits the spot. It helps keep you hydrated, and it's like again.
It's absolutely the same. Yeah, cider all day, every day for me as well. Cider with pint of cider with ice. just hits the spot for me as well. So yeah, exactly the same.
Yeah. Colonel was asking as well, when this World Cup comes to an end, will the Super League return? Because PSG then technically have no loyalty to FIFA. They don't have even. We just talked about the owners setting up apparently.
PSG aren't governed by FIFA; they'll be
No.
governed by UEFA and obviously the Liga. But
Yeah,
I mean, I don't really
it's
quite
going
get
to
the
come back at
question, to
some
be
point.
honest.
It's just a different format.
But I think the new Champions League format
Yeah,
is.
Chris says it as well. Yeah, it's basically the same format that we were put
Oh yeah, well
forward.
there you go then. Yeah, me and Chris on the same wavelength. The new Champions League format is the way to appease all the biggest clubs because eventually, in 2 or 3 years' time, the Premier League. They say 5, but I think it could potentially be 6 Premier League teams will get into the Champions League each season, which is great news for Arsenal because when with like Newcastle on the horizon coming up, that's going to be another one of the top 4 places gone eventually. It's inevitable.
Yeah,
So I think that they have taken all that sort of stuff into account. That's why I think we are going to be getting 5 or 6 places in the Champions League in the next 2 or 3. When does it start? 2 seasons' time, is it?
yeah.
Is
Not
this new Champions
20,
League format?
was it 24, 25? 20,
Yeah.
it's either the 23, 24 or 24, 25 season. I need to double check that we go offline. Or someone in the chat can let us know. But yeah, guys, do get your questions in. Got a few minutes left. Doesn't have to be football related or Arsenal related. Could be absolutely anything. Chris is saying Sky pay $8 billion for Prem rights. They worked out if Prem had their own Netflix style subscription set up, it would be worth around $32 billion.
Well, yeah.
Had a good video about it.
There you go then. Yeah, again, me and Chris Nick's on the same sort of wavelength. I know it would be dwarfed. Honestly, it would. They'd get even more money.
Yeah, I mean, going down that road, it would work. But it's true. I mean, none of their athletes, but they're getting run into the ground. They're getting no time with it. They've got
Here's my little dog. Look.
2 weeks of their friends and
Say
family.
hello.
Oh.
Say hello.
Remember the family, Bakayo.
Look. Hello. It's Kayo. Yeah, here he is.
But stick the Arsenal Misfit, big up the Arsenal Misfit, says, under Zan, I'll get every league game, every Champions League game, every Europa League game, plus every MLS game, every National Football League, NFL games.
God, that's good, isn't it?
They also dabbled in rugby and cricket, all for $20 Canadian dollars a month. And look what we have to pay, literally broken down into installments, £15 for one sport, for God's sake, on Sky or Virgin.
Well, yeah, but then you've also got to have a BT Sports subscription as well on top of that, and Amazon for some of the games as well.
Yeah.
So you're talking up close to, you're getting towards £100 a month when you think about it. If you wanted to go down
I will say this: I prefer Amazon's coverage to BT's coverage of Premier League.
Yeah, I do as well.
But still, it's £16 with Amazon. It's like £6.99 a month for Amazon Prime, and you're literally getting not just obviously the games, but you're getting a vast range. Plus, including our documentary in August, so that'd be fun.
Well, that's why I think Amazon would be a good shout, really. To be honest, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Colonel, I have no idea what's happening with Diane in terms of what you want about in Diane Abbott. So, and also it's politics. Let's stay on to politics for tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Just have a look at my tweet about Diane Abbott. If you search for it, she's got a looky likey.
Oh, has she now?
It's it's the one that I put a picture of her and a picture of the the Incredibles film. The little woman that makes all the incredible suits.
Yeah. What's the name? I've got the name now.
She looks like Diane Abbott. Just go and search it out. It's well funny.
Oh dear. I think we've done things up with a few seconds to spare.
Yes, absolutely.
As I was going to say, the audio for this will be up in half an hour's time over on all audio platforms. If you want to find me on Instagram now, my previous account has been hacked. It's now being looked into by Instagram to get that back. But in the meantime, you can now find me on a new page. And I'll give you the actual app. It's quite simple. Mr. Arsenal Podcast, no capital letters. And just find me there. The channel logo's there and all that. But yeah, in the meantime, that's going to be for anyone that want to follow me and contact me. That's where you can find me on that. until further notice. And Twitter, obviously, my ats on the screen there, Mr. Arsenal89. Andrew, you're hosting next week as well. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, back on my channel next week. Back for Tuesday night. Hopefully you're free for that, Ryan.
Should
Tuesday
be,
night, 7:30 for the regular show. Plenty to talk about. But yeah, enjoyed it again tonight. Thanks to everyone in the chat. It's been great. Come and join us next week on my channel. Look forward to it.
Yeah, and and in terms of here, we're going to do a show probably on Wednesday. I don't know what it's going to be about. Just give me a day or two to sort that out. Get sorted for that, and probably Wednesday I'll do a show here as well. And then trying to think. As I say, we're over on Andrew's channel this show next Sunday. So episode 3 will be over on Andrew's channel live on here. So go give him, as I say, subscribe and all that on there. And oh my God, Al. Any sort of big news, transfer news comes out that we need to talk about, obviously I'll do a quick video on that if it happens throughout the week. Other than that, we are going to have a nice relaxing week, hopefully, touch wood, unless any idiot have a meltdown. And yeah, we'll see you on the other side. As always, enjoy the rest of your evening, morning, and afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And as always, up the Arsenal. Come on, you guys.
See you later.